Hello everybody, I'm Nathan, I'm a landscape photographer from Brisbane. Today I am in southeast Queensland, I'm in the Diagala National Park and I'm at a spot called Westridge Outlook. I didn't have to hike in or anything like that, you just pull up in the car park and walk out here to this little lookout and sort of looking out west. I'm here to try and catch some nice photos for sunset and we'll see how we go. I am a little bit early so I got a bit of time to prep, but we'll just see what happens. So I've brought two cameras with me today. The Hasselblad, which I haven't used in a little while and I'm really happy to use it today. And I also brought my Fuji GFX. I didn't bring the panoramic camera with me today. I've used it a little bit lately and I just figure this scene is probably not ideal for a panorama. I could make it work. I'd rather maybe try a couple of telephoto shots with the Hasselblad. It is probably my favorite camera, so I really am keen to give it a bit of a crack this Savo. I've just loaded a roll of film. I loaded a roll of Fuji Pro 160 NS today. I've also got some Kodak Ektar 100, some Fuji Velvia 50 and 100, and a couple of different black and whites. I'm not really that keen to use the slide films, I just still had them in my bag. Black and white could work. Black and white would probably work actually right now if I had loaded that first, because it's still a bit too bright to get some really nice sunset colors, but the contrast would probably work really well for black and white. So I've got a fairly nice view here. Just looking out west, I can see some water out there. I'm not sure, it could be Lake Wivenhoe maybe, I'm not 100% sure. Lots of sort of peaks and mountains and hills around. It's a bit misty, not misty, a bit hazy. It's a bit hazy out here today. Hopefully it ends up that it's not too much haze. I can see there's a bit of a fire out over there. It's not smoke from that though, because it doesn't smell like it. But hopefully there's not too much is what I'm trying to say. And there's also quite a lot of cloud in the sky, but it's not all bunched together near the sun. So hopefully there's a bit of it sort of medium, not super low clouds. There's a little bit of high cloud. So hopefully it should catch a little bit of color as we get close to sunset. I might just have a bit of a play with this composition now. I've got the 150mm on the Hasselblad and just wait out till the sun goes down. So hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea of the landscape here. It's a bit hard to see because it's quite bright out there, but it's pretty nice. It's a nice spot up here. I'm pretty happy just to be chilling out here. I might throw the long lens on the Hasselblad in a minute, just see if there's an interesting composition with the 250mm. And then after that, I might even put the GFX on and see what I can find. So I have found a composition that I like with the long lens, really quite like. It's really tight just on that center peak that was out there before, with a little bit of the hill coming in on the side there. And you can see a couple of the smaller peaks out to the side as well. So I really quite like it. I'm gonna shoot it, I've just metered it, I'm gonna shoot it at, what did I say? f/16 and 1/8 of a second. And that's metering for the shadows. So I'm gonna do that now, focus to infinity, meter for the shadows, because I've got a little bit more highlight retention with this camera. The sun has just gone into a bit of cloud. Actually, so I might hold off on this shot. So while I've been hanging out here waiting for the sun to drop down below the big heavy cloud, which it hasn't yet, but it looks like it's getting close. A little bit of light started to fall on some of the other hills nearby. So what I'm gonna do is actually grab a shot with the long lens where it's just got some nice light on some of those hills out there. So I'm gonna go f/32 and 1/8 of a second. So let's set that, f/32, 1/8, we are wound on, mirror up and just gently on that shutter release. And I'm pretty excited to see how that one looks. So I just went back to that first composition that I liked with the long lens, because while a lot of the sun is still covered behind that big cloud, there is a lot of light coming through, hitting sort of the background area. The hills and peaks here in the foreground are still covered in shadow, but there's not too much of that in the composition, and it was just some really lovely light falling on the hills and the peak behind, which I really wanted. It looks almost like it's a bit misty. I think it is still just that haze, but it doesn't look dirty or anything. It looks just like a soft mist. So it should look really, really nice. I did 2 exposures for that one, both at f32, one at 1/8 of a second and one at 1/15 of a second, because it is quite bright, but I really think that's going to be a nice shot. And it does look like the sun is starting to drop below that cloud because the light is slowly moving forward and coming back towards these hills that are a little bit closer to where I am. So hopefully we won't have to wait too much longer. The sun's still pretty high up in the sky there. I've just fired off a couple of shots though while I've been waiting for it to drop. The light's getting pretty nice, even though it's still pretty bright. I've just taken a couple on the Hasselblad and the GFX, just a couple at wide angle and telephoto. It's looking pretty nice, but I think probably about another 20 minutes before the sun drops low enough to start lighting up the clouds, but we're getting there. It's a pretty nice afternoon. So I managed to get a couple of shots when the sun really lit up a little bit. It's dropping behind some heavy cloud now, so we might have missed the best of the color, but there's still a bit of color out below the clouds at the moment, and I'm gonna hang around for a bit more and see what happens. We're getting a lot of shadow on the foreground now, but you know, you never leave too early because you just don't know what's gonna happen. So I've just quickly thrown the Hasselblad back on, and I've got the 250mm on there. I'm doing f45, 1 second, while I've got the sun between the horizon and the cloud. It looks pretty awesome. And this is the last shot on this roll of film as well, so here we go. So hopefully that was a good last shot of the roll. Okay, so the sun has just dropped down below the horizon now. We've got a little bit of sweet color in the sky, and had the sun dropping down is really cool. I'm just gonna hang around a bit as the sky starts to go get a bit blue, and hopefully there might be some purples in there as well, and we'll see what happens. Well, the sun is now gone and the sky did not turn it right on for us, but that's okay. I still got some nice shots in here, I think, today. So it's been a nice afternoon. Actually, there's a cloud right behind me that's catching some color, but I can't really shoot it. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I really hope you've enjoyed this video today and that you've got something out of it. If you have any feedback or any questions, feel free to pop them down there below. If you like this video, I'd really appreciate it if you give it a thumbs up. Maybe think about subscribing. But thanks again. I really hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you soon.